Basically, welding position is different angles or position in which we can join metals. But why do we need welding position? So if you have ever seen any welding being done, then you may have seen welders simply sit in a position and fuse the metal components in front of them by moving around the table or repositioning himself around the workpiece. But day by day, it is becoming challenging to get the metal pieces attached because day by day different and tricky shapes and designs are in demand. Due to which, to fulfill that, welder needs techniques to be able to weld in any position without facing much trouble. Now let us see welding position of T-joints in plates. So mainly we have 4 types of welding position, namely 1F that is flat, 2F that is horizontal, 3F that is vertical, and 4F that is overhead. Now let us see each of them one by one. First one is flat, that is 1F. It is also referred to as downhand position. One important fact to be noted is that the welding that is not done in flat position is referred to as out of position welding. It is the easiest position because it requires the least skill in order to produce a sound weld with maximum penetration. So if you are a new learner or student, then you learn flat position welding at first and then move to the others. So the metal to be joined are placed in flat position and the welder passes the electric arc over them, moving across the workpiece in a horizontal direction. The joint top side is welded together, allowing the molten material to move downward into its edges. Now the second one is horizontal, that is 2F. The horizontal position is considered as an out of position weld along with the vertical and overhead, as I have mentioned earlier. The horizontal position can be more challenging to perform and require a higher level of skill, but this position is widely used in welding vessels and reservoirs. The weld axis is horizontal, but how the position is executed depends on the type of weld. As we are talking about the weld, so for a fillet weld, the weld bead is placed where a vertical and horizontal piece of metal meet at an angle of 90 degrees. Now the third one is vertical, that is 3F. For a vertical position weld, both the weld and plate lie vertically. One of the major problems when performing this weld is the molten metal flowing downward and piling up. Welding in a downhill or upward vertical position can prevent this issue. So vertical welding has two variants, that is vertical up and vertical down. The vertical up welding is widely used because it allows the heat to penetrate deeper and thus results in deeper penetration weld. It also produces stronger welds and thus it is preferred when the strength is a major consideration. The vertical down welding is used for the sealing operation and for the welding of sheet metals. Fourth one is overhead, that is 4F. The overhead position weld is far more difficult position to work in. The welding will be performed with the two pieces of metal above the welder and the welder will have to angle him or herself and the equipment to reach the joints. Overhead welding is not only far more difficult to carry out because the molten metal in the upside down weld pool constantly tends to drip down, but it is also most hazardous due to the flying sparks and spatters. For successful overhead welding, it is therefore essential to use a very short arc with short circuiting mode of metal transfer. Point to be noted, to keep the weld pool small, the electrodes employed for overhead welding arc not more than 3.15 mm in diameter, and electrodes should be tilted through an angle of 10 to 25 degrees in the direction of welding with rapid electrode manipulation to keep the fast solidification of deposited metals. The electrode movement commonly adopted in overhead welding includes oval, whip, and zigzag, and we can perform all these 4 welding positions in 2 most common types of welding methods, that is fillet weld and groove weld. Thank you for watching.